Yeah, I'm Tyshawn Ford. I'm 20 years old, and I moved to Eugene I want to say almost 2 years ago now. So yeah, I moved here to play college basketball at Lane Community College. So that's originally why I ended up moving here.
Mhm. Where did you come from?
I came from Portland, Oregon.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where I'm from. Portland, Oregon. Went to school in Vancouver, Washington for a lot of my life, but lived back and forth from Portland, Vancouver. So yeah,
so you're an Oregon boy.
I am.
You are. So how has it been for you as a person of color, in particular, living here in Eugene?
Well,
I mean, you can talk about whatever part of it you want to.
I think that for me, um, I haven't had like a bunch of racist experiences like in Eugene really until I started protesting.
Hmm.
Um, just because like I feel like I'm like a, I feel like I'm like most people's like token black person. Like I'm like super nice and easy to get along with, so like pretty much like most people really like me, and like I guess I'm like a likable person. So like even like the racist white people don't really have like super big issues with me, or even like when I talk to like counter protesters at protests, like they're not like super hostile with me, just because like I guess I'm just like an easy person to like um, get along with, like and just like I'm just a nice person, I guess.
Well, it's always good to be a nice
Yeah.
person.
Most for the most part, it's been pretty good. It hasn't been anything like some microaggressions and stuff like that, but not like anything like just like blatantly in my face, except for like at protests and stuff like that. Just because like yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've experienced at protests?
Yeah, so I don't even know how many protests I've been in. Probably like around like 180, 200, somewhere around there. But yeah, I've experienced some crazy stuff at protests. I protested in like 10 different states. I believe I've been to like Washington, Oregon, Washington, D.C., um, Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, and forget it. This is yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, in Florida. But yeah, so I protested in a lot of different places. So I've seen a lot of different stuff. But for the most part, like Portland is probably like the most radicalized place out of like all the places I've been to. A
Hmm.
lot of other places are really for police reform, and like for here, like in Oregon, like we're pushing for police abolition. Like really hard. Some other places are pushing for police abolition, but not really. They're really just pushing for reform stuff because like on the East Coast and like the Midwest and stuff, like it's majority black people. So like the cops are black, the mayor is black, and so the people that are kind of like in the mix of like are black. So it's like it's a little bit different look on how like they experience racism versus like how we experience racism. And I feel like here we experience like racism like through like systemic racism and systematic, and like there I feel like they just experience like systematic racism versus like systemic, just because like um, a lot of the people in power there are black people, just coons for the most part. So but yeah, protesting like in Portland, like we were basically going to war every night. Like it was like it looked like an actual war zone. So like the protests in Portland would be like you'd get there and like people would just be waiting for the feds to come out, and they'd come out eventually, and like you just see like all this like mutual aid everywhere. It was just like you have like riot ribs with like this table full of like food, like actual good cooked food. And there's like snacks and waters and Gatorade and stuff like that. And you go to another desk and you can get like a helmet or a respirator or gas mask and stuff like that. And just walk around and everyone's like you're just meeting people and everyone's blocked up. So like you don't even know what people really look like for the most part. And so you just go around and kind of talking to like people, and then like when it's time to go to war, like you have everyone has each other's backs. Like people you don't even know have your back and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So we're getting dressed like shin guards and bulletproof vests and helmets and stuff like that. Like actually feeling like we're getting ready to actually go to war against the cops. So and it was war basically, war against the feds every single night and stuff like that. So um, that was just crazy. That was probably something unlike anything I've ever experienced. Just like, and I was coming from Eugene to Portland every day and driving back same day. So I'd drive back. Sometimes we stay at the Justice Center till like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Drive back to Eugene and come right back. Like, so yeah, it's just a crazy experience. It was like, it just kind of felt like that was the only thing that was happening at that time. Like, it didn't feel like anything else was happening in my life at that time. At that time, it just felt like I was only just going to work every night. Like, I was literally going to sleep, waking up, and getting ready to go back to Portland, get ready to go. And so, just like that experience, I think is something that, you know, in other places people haven't really got to experience that. So their hatred, like for the police, is not as high as ours. I feel like because like we were like so ACAB for the most part, just because the police in Portland are worse than any police anywhere else. So yeah, protesting in Portland is definitely, and people know that too, which is crazy. Like when we went to DC, people found out you're from Portland and they lose their mind because they're just like, you guys are going crazy down there. Like I can't believe the stuff that I've been seeing on live streams and stuff like that. So that's pretty crazy. Just being in a place where, you know, like the center of like the movement is like right where I live, which is just it's just crazy. And just like I feel like Eugene, I feel like we have like the most organized press protests, like from places that I've been for the most part. Just because like the organizers here, like we're just really good. Like I feel like we have a lot of experience in like messing up and stuff like that, and like our protests have like gradually gotten better. We got better at planning them like more quick and like having safety and medics and stuff like that. And so our protests are just pretty organized, and I feel like our protests are really safe. Like you know, we have a lot of block cars, we have armed security, a lot of medics and stuff like that. And so yeah, I just feel like our protests are just like super safe and like super like people can come in and they're gonna get educated and they're gonna have like a good time and get to jump around and stuff like that. So I think that's good. And like just like the education, like I just feel like we educate really well, like a lot of knowledge to give to people and stuff like that. And other places they just lax that a little bit, but for the most part, other places were cool. Like Washington D.C. was alright.
When you say educating, do you mean educating about the issues or educating about how to protest or?
It's really pretty much everything. So like when we're going to educate, like we want to teach people about like real Black history, like real Black leaders, and also teaching people about the systems that we're trying to dismantle. Just because it's like it's so like it's such a heavy thing to just be like abolish the police, abolish prison and stuff like that. And like I know that can be scary for a lot of people. And so like if we can like educate the people that are coming to our protests and they can educate their friends and family and like what abolition really means and like why abolition will help everyone and stuff like that, then it'll be good. So it's like teaching about like capitalism and socialism and communism and about like peace abolition and prison abolition and like school reform and justice system reform and stuff like that. Just like trying to be like trying to kind of advocate for these different problems that are happening like in the Black community and stuff like that.
How effective do you think it's been in Eugene, the protests?
I think that they've been pretty effective, just for the fact that like now we have a civil suit against SPD. We have 3 actually against SPD, which is really big, just because that gives us a lot of opportunity to be able to make certain changes, especially when we win, and also being able to get that money and be able to put that money back into the community from the civil suit and stuff like that. So that's been heavy, and I also think that we changed a lot of people's minds on like what the movement's supposed to look like, just because you know we're a peaceful protesting group, and so like a lot of the people that don't agree with the more radical stuff, you know, feel like they can come to our protests and come get educated and come talk to us. And like even with like the counter protesters, like I've changed a lot of counter protesters' minds just by simply having a conversation with them instead of gaslighting. So it's like, and some of them actually come to our protests now, stuff like that. There's this one guy who actually I sat and talked with him and like people for like 2 hours probably after the protest, and and start protesting with us and coming to all of our events and stuff like that and showing our support just because, people watch the news and stuff like that. And also, your phone is programmed to show you what you're around, what you're thinking about, stuff like that. So if you're around a bunch of people who are on the right side, who think that, all lives matter or whatever, then your phone's going to show you that stuff constantly. And that's what the news is showing you if you're watching, conservative news sources and stuff like that. So, if that's all you see, then clearly you're going to think that that's what's actually happening when that's not the actual reality. So it's just like stuff like that, which I think is just like super important when it comes to educating, because a lot of people are just in the dark and they just only know what people tell them or what they see on their phone. So, but yeah, so yeah, it's been good, like good opportunity to be able to change people's minds. Like that's like something I really like to do, just because like I detest how much knowledge I have when I talk to them. Just like when I'm wearing new stuff and like they say a lot of stuff that just like I was taught that stuff too. So like I don't really blame them, like what I mean, because I know I was taught that same stuff. But it's just all about radicalizing your mind and really being like, I know that this isn't right, because a lot of them know that the stuff that's happening is not right, but they just don't agree with how we're going about it. Mm-hmm. It's just like it's not really your choice about how we go about the problems that are happening in America and like the harm that's getting caused to Black people and Indigenous people and stuff like that. So yeah.
If you were to say what your, like, in a succinct way, what your main message is, what would you say that it was?
I think that our main message is probably that all the power needs to be in the hands of the people. Just because, we obviously can't trust the government. There's just too many unknown unknowns. Like, there's just too many things that we don't know, like, simply. So it's just like, when you have all the power in the hands of a corrupt government, obviously we're never going to be able to reform the government to a point to where it benefits all the people, just because government cares about our economy more than they care about the people, and they've proven that. And just with like the government is just like understands like money's not actually real. Money is just like something that someone just made up, and the people have the power to determine if that actually holds any type of power or like in our society. So like if the power is ultimately in the hands of the people, just for the simple fact that like if all the people decided that we didn't want to do what the government said anymore, then we could just not. But people don't realize that we have that much power to just be like, we don't want to do that, or we don't have to do that, because they really couldn't do anything if all the people decided to not listen to them.
So that is a kind of a good segue to the second part of our questions, which are, since the new administration, have you seen any changes, or have there been any changes in the last 90 days?
Well, I guess like Joe Biden did send out the stimulus checks like as soon as he got in office, so that was really good. But also, I know that he is putting more funds to closing up all the borders from Mexico, I believe. I think I did just see that the other day, so that's not good. I'm not a Democrat by any means. I hate all forms of government and political power struggle. So, yeah, but that's pretty much it. Like stimulus coming out. I know he's trying to get some funding to put money towards like the houseless community, education. He's also trying to clear student debt up to like I think like 50,000, I think, or something around there. So that's really good. But at the end of the day, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are fascists. So obviously they're never gonna have my support, just for that simple fact. But if someone does something good, then that's good. But at the end of the day, they're politicians, so they're gonna be corrupt. Just because that's what politicians are. And yeah, so first almost 100 days of Joe Biden been in office has been better than Trump's. So.
Which isn't hard to do at this point.
Yeah. I don't have like a bunch of like, you don't see a bunch of like Biden, Kamala Harris flags everywhere. It's not like a cult. So yeah, that's good.
So what do you do to make sure your voice is being heard?
I think that Something that we do to make sure that our voice is being heard. I guess like the protests are really big, just because the news comes out there, and there's a bunch of live streams and stuff like that, and also I think connecting with like other cities too. So like when we have like big protests that are all together, like it'll be like Portland, Eugene, Salem, and like some people from Medford will come, Coos Bay and stuff. Like that's like a really huge way, just because like that draws so much attention, especially when there's a bunch of people out there. So that's really huge like way for us to get our voice out. And honestly, like we're being honest, like another way that really brings stuff to light is violence. Like that's just like the reality, because people don't really care until someone dies or someone gets hurt. Because a lot of people didn't know about what happened to like me in Thurston or the other people that got hurt in Thurston until we brought that attention like on the news and like really with blasting and stuff like that. So really just like the protests are huge, and uniting together to have one message to all the people is like really huge. And the news sources have helped a lot with that, and the live streams have been really helpful. Like the fact that we have so much cameras everywhere to capture everything that's happening, I think that's really huge. And when people see those videos, that's really like, it really hits you different when you like really see it happen. And like some of the people that were there that really see that stuff happen really does change their perspective on the movement and the type of work that we're doing. So I definitely think that protests have been huge, just because it's about unity. Like protesting is a lot like church. Like you come, there's probably gonna be food, and there's gonna be someone there preaching a message to you, and there's a bunch of people who you really don't know, but you kind of know just because you see them at church, you see them at protest. That's the only way that you know them. So, but everyone at church cares about each other, and just like at a protest, everyone at protest cares about each other and have each other's backs. So it's like ultimately just like a big family of people who you don't really know, but they all have your back at the end of the day. And so yeah, I think that protesting teaches a lot about unity and about just like standing on what you believe in. And no matter what, people can be mad at protesting as much as they want, but it got your attention. And like that's the thing about like when there's violent acts that happen, it's like people. I'm sure people don't want to break windows and stuff like that, but you know what I mean. If you're not listening to the peaceful protest, then sometimes people do that, and that does get the attention of people, like 100%. And so, if we can get people to draw their attention when we're actually protesting and talking about the things that are actually happening, if we can get that to draw their attention versus like if someone breaks a window, now you're upset, you want to go see what's going on, then there wouldn't be as much violence. Or just like with like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, you know what I mean? They weren't the first. There was many before them that passed away and were killed by police or killed by white supremacists, stuff like that. And this is just the one that's lasting the longest. But it just shows like that's what it takes to wake people up in this country. It takes someone dying literally on video to raise awareness to what's happening in this country. So just like the violence, I think, is something that really does raise awareness. When people are watching the police literally kill someone on camera, I think that changes the perspective of a lot of people on how they see the police.
Have you been watching the trial?
I have, and it's been a really interesting trial. I don't know what I think is gonna happen, but I just know that I've been in Minneapolis. I met the organizers there, and they have like this big place called George Floyd Square, and it's like really cool. It's like it's like basically they took over a whole neighborhood, and they said they're not gonna get it back until they have like 29 demands, and the 29 demands says like we're not giving any of this back until you meet all of our demands. And it was really cool that they had like community meetings and stuff like that. And I just know that like if they don't get the justice they feel, then it's not gonna be pretty for Minneapolis. Like what they did the first time, it's gonna be 10 times worse. So
So one of the things that has really been interesting, you kind of talked about it, is the level of participation, the level of engagement that we have seen in the last year. how do you think we can encourage that level of engagement to keep going?
I think it's just about pace. It's like understanding that this is like we don't have to be out there every day anymore. You know what I mean? It's about pace. So like having events like here and there where people can just come and also like bring their family and stuff like that. I think it's like super important just because it's easy to get burned out and like for regular people, but like as organizers, you know what I mean? Like we're having to do this work like all day, all the time, and so it's easy to get burned out and like have to take a step back from the movement. But like if we just move at the pace that we're moving at and like making sure we're trying to make like actual political changes and stuff like that, then I think that could be really huge. Just because we don't have to. Obviously, we're not trying to boss the police overnight. It's not even realistic, and it wouldn't be safe, obviously, if we just like abolish the police overnight with no plan of actually protect people in the community. So, yeah, I think it's definitely it will be like the biggest like impact like for us for sure.
So how do people get involved with the movement?
Show up to a protest. I guess I feel like that's like the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just like showing up to a protest. Just because like that's how all organizers got involved. Like we all just showed up to a protest. Like we just heard there was a protest and we just went. And like we just happened to become organizers. We're just normal people at the end of the day. We just like we just dedicate a little bit more time than other people can towards social justice for people. And so I feel like that's like the best start. Is like just going to a protest and like meeting the people there, meeting organizers, and like we're always looking for help or coming to an event and stuff like that, or reaching out to organizers and stuff like that, trying to get involved. It's like the quickest way. But I feel like the quickest way is probably just showing up to a protest and like just being like I'm trying to get involved. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can offer, like stuff like that. And then you kind of get locked in because like being an organizer, you're not really like chosen. You kind of just like were just put into like you grow into that role as like the person that people look at to lead the stuff that's happening. So I think that's like definitely the best way to get like really involved, or just kind of like if you have like a certain skill to offer or like something to offer to help people or help the movement or whatever. Just like not even having to be at a protest, just like you have like maybe a business that you run or something like that where you can help in some type of way. It's like a huge part because those people, even though you don't see them, they're really important to the work that we do. The people that are sponsoring some of the events and stuff like that, or just like little things. Like maybe you work at like a shirt place and we need to get shirts and you'll donate this amount of shirts or something like that. So just like little things to be able to help out the community and stuff like that is a good way to just kind of stay involved without having to be a full organizer committed like all the time, which I think is more realistic for more people.
So how do they contact you?
Well, we have a website, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have an email. People can reach out to us pretty much any type of way. Or you can just see us at protest and just kind of come up to us and talk to us. Like I said, we're just normal people. Like we don't feel like we're better than anyone or celebrities or anything like that. So if people, want to just come up and just talk to us and stuff like that, then it's easy that way.
Is there anything you would like the community to know?
I guess just really stay in tune on this SPD case because it's going to be going on for a while, probably maybe a year or two before it comes to an end. But that trial is like super important to what holding the police accountable is going to look like in the next few years, and it's going to be a really big step towards defunding the police and actually being able to not be so fearful of the police, especially in Springfield, because there's so much worse in Eugene. So, and we need the whole entire community to get behind us on this case because it's literally that important. And if the judges and like the people in the community that are on the jury and stuff like that, and see how much the community is backing this, then if we don't win, then it'll be a problem for the whole community. And so, just understand how important that is because especially in Springfield, I live there. And like, there's not that many people of color there, but the people that do live there that are people of color, you know what I mean? Like, people don't rock with the police just because, they're always going to bother someone. and stuff like that. So, and I think that that would be really big for the movement, like nationally. The fact that we won a civil suit, a big civil suit against SPD after what they did do to us, and how viral that video did go. I think that that would be huge for the movement, and I think that probably would give some people some hope that real change is possible if we keep pushing through. And yeah, just understanding that that this can really change the lives of a lot of people, and it will give us money to be able to put back into the community, and that money is going to be taken away from the police, because we don't want the police to have a huge budget of money for ridiculous defenses that they don't need against the people. Yeah, I think that that's probably most important. Next thing, I guess, we are a nonprofit now, which is really cool. We're trying to get a building, which would be cool if we can get a building, like, in the next year or so, like a headquarters for people to come in and actually, and we do have like a few programs that we are working on, like early interventions program, and working on like an after school program, and stuff like that, and just like trying to build like a place where kids can come and learn stuff and enjoy themselves and have a good time, and just like a space for people to just like, thrive in Black culture and Black love and Black joy, and stuff like that, and just learn about their culture, because that's like the biggest problem. I feel like in Eugene is like a lot of the Black kids here are very much, out of touch with Black culture, out of touch with themselves, or try to be white just because that's like the normal here. And so like having a space where you can just go and be, as Black like as you want, I think is like something that is going to be really important, like for the community to have. And so that's something that we have in the works. So it'll be like a community center type thing. And so hopefully, within this next year we can make that happen, because that'll be important. And just like trying to work on like changes that are going to be for the long run, because like a lot of the stuff that we do right now, it's just short, like feeding houseless and giving clothes away and little events and stuff like that. Like that stuff does help, but it's only temporary helping. And we're trying to figure out how we can make actual longevity changes right now for the people in this community and just in the state of Oregon in general. What we feel like is like most important, just because those little changes are just little changes, and like we can't stop with just those little changes, because that's why reform doesn't work. Because like we get some reform and then we're like, okay, it's fine now, and then we don't keep on pushing and pushing. So longevity changes is the goal, and yeah, that's pretty much what we got.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.